When things went south with my parents, I had to find a new place to live. Couch surfing at friends' places could only last so long. While scouring roommate and apartment apps, I found a listing that caught my eye. A man named Luke was renting out a room in his 3-bedroom, single-story house for $1,200 a month. He'd be both my landlord and roommate, though he noted he'd be out of the house most of the time, leaving it mostly to me. He had some ground rules: no parties, large gatherings, drinking in the living room, or use of the basement. They seemed reasonable enough. When I met Luke to view the house, he came across as reclusive, quiet, and a bit awkward. He was visibly nervous, with a shaky voice and occasional stutter. The bedroom was a good size, and the house's open floor plan was appealing. He reiterated the rules, emphasizing the attic and basement were off-limits as they were used for storage. It all seemed fair, so I told him I was interested. We shook hands, and 2 days later, I moved in. We didn't draft any lease or contract. I was just going to pay him off the books month to month. The bedroom I rented was already furnished, so I just hung some wall decor and filled the dresser and closet with my clothes. The bedroom had a lock, and Luke gave me the key, which seemed considerate. Luke never told me what he did for work, only that he usually wouldn't be home, but his car was always in the driveway when I returned from work. I started hearing loud noises at night, footsteps and doors opening and closing. One night, I got up to use the bathroom and noticed the basement door was open. I peered down the stairs and saw a dim light and heard banging sounds. Luke suddenly appeared at the bottom, visibly annoyed, and told me to shut the basement door. It was unsettling. A week later, I came home to find my bedroom door unlocked, though I always locked it before leaving. Nothing seemed missing, but things were moved. My clothes in the dresser were disturbed, and the closet door was slightly open. It was clear Luke had a key and had gone through my stuff, violating my privacy. When I tried to confront him, he didn't answer his door, though his car was in the driveway. Later, I caught him leaving the house and asked if he'd been in my room. He denied it, claiming I had the only key. He seemed in a hurry and left. Feeling uneasy, I decided to check out the basement while Luke was out. I used my phone's flashlight as there were no light switches. The basement was small and smelled bad, with an ugly couch in the middle of the room. A door in the corner was locked, and the smell near it was foul, like raw sewage. I didn't open any of the taped-up cardboard boxes and quickly went back upstairs, shutting the basement door. That night, I woke to find Luke leaning over my bed. He asked if I had gone into the basement. I lied and said no. He asked if I was sure, and then suggested I find other living arrangements. I started packing immediately and demanded half my rent back, since I'd only been there 2 weeks. He gave me $400, and I left within an hour, spending the night in my car. I moved back in with my parents the next day, and we reconciled. I moved out again a month later, but if you're considering a random roommate from online, be cautious and use your best judgment. During my junior year of college, I moved off campus into a student apartment building. My assigned roommate, David, seemed nice at first, friendly, polite, and always smiling. But soon, his quirks and odd behaviors made me uneasy. He lingered in my room, asked pushy questions about my personal life, and poked around my belongings. At first, I brushed it off as harmless curiosity, but it began to bother me. Strange noises from David's room at night, talking and shuffling, kept me awake. One night, unable to sleep, I pressed my ear against his door and heard him whispering to himself. Suddenly, the whispering stopped, and I heard him say my name. Panicked, I tiptoed back to my room and crawled into bed, wondering how he knew I was outside his door. David's behavior grew stranger. He made furtive glances at me and moved in an odd manner. One night, I woke up to hear whispering outside my door. When I asked if he was okay, he didn't respond, just walked back to his room. Another night, I woke up to the sound of my bedroom door closing and David's footsteps retreating. The next day, I confronted him about his potential sleepwalking. He claimed he sometimes sleepwalks, but I didn't believe him. Determined to find answers, I searched David's room while he was out. In a hidden drawer in his closet, I found dozens of photographs of me sleeping and one other guy around our age. Sickened, I realized David had been taking these photos without my knowledge. I took some photos as evidence and reported it to the student housing department. I was reassigned to a different apartment with a normal roommate and never spoke to David again. Even now, I can't shake the memory of those chilling photographs and David's whispering at night. At 23, I had to move out of state for work. Posting on various websites for a roommate, I got a response from a guy named Rob on Facebook. He seemed normal and offered a fair price for a room in his modest house, just a 10-minute drive from my office. Despite my parents' concerns, I moved in a week later. Rob greeted me and helped me move my things inside. He was short and seemed nice, trying to make me feel at home. The next day, he offered to show me around town. I agreed, wanting to start on good terms, but when he pushed for a sit-down lunch and drinks, I felt uncomfortable and declined politely. He seemed upset, but eventually dropped it. My first week at work was busy, and I noticed my hamper of clothes seemed moved. One pair of my underwear was missing. I didn't want to confront Rob yet, so I installed a lockable doorknob on my bedroom door from Ace Hardware. That night, Rob banged on my door at 1:30 a.m., calling my name angrily. I pretended to be asleep. The next morning, he texted me to talk after work. I asked if it was about the doorknob, and he confirmed. I apologized, explaining I felt safer with a lock. He insisted it be removed. I reluctantly complied, feeling uneasy about his insistence. One day, a girl knocked on the door while Rob was out. She warned me Rob had multiple restraining orders from different women and was dangerous. Terrified, I packed my things and arranged to move to a studio apartment. I texted Rob that I needed to move out due to family reasons, and he promised to return my money the next day. That night, he knocked again, asking if a girl had talked to me. I denied it, and he left. Later, I woke to find Rob sitting at the end of my bed. He put his hand on my mouth and insisted he didn't mean to scare me. I ran outside and called the police. They arrived, and I explained the situation. Rob denied everything, but the police allowed me to collect my belongings. An officer informed me Rob had been arrested before for incidents with women. I moved into the studio apartment the next day and vowed never to live with another man who wasn't my boyfriend or husband.